Part 38. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 371. Chapter 371. Tell me what you like and I'll pay for it. She blushed and her heart skipped a beat when he looked at her. Her eyes flashed and she stretched out her hand to pull off his arm, avoiding his seductive gaze. Ahem, aren't we going to pick out a gift for Lola? Let's go quickly. Moyesi watched her pull her little hand, curled her lips, and held her big hand back, wrapping her little hand in his palm. His palm was so big that it completely covered her soft white hand. The traffic light flashed several times and turned green. Moyesi clenched his little hand and led her towards the shopping mall opposite. Let's go. Asterisk. Arrived at the shopping mall. Moyesi took her directly to the elevator to the luxury store floor. Get out of the elevator. Looking at those shockingly expensive brands, Xiao Mian paused. What's wrong? Moyesi stopped with her. Xiao Mian was silent for a moment and said honestly, let's go shopping on the lower floors. Things on this floor are too expensive. It's not that she is stingy and unwilling to buy expensive gifts for Zhongluli. It's because she understands Zhongluli's character. If you buy a gift that is too expensive, Zhongluli will definitely not accept it. Moyesi, however, held her hand and continued to walk forward. Now that we're all here, let's just stroll around. I'll come with you. What are you afraid of? Your husband can afford the most expensive things. You can go shopping freely, tell me what you like, and I'll pay for it. As he spoke, Moyesi led her into the nearest luxury brand store. Xiao Mian raised her head and looked at the man next to her with impeccable appearance and figure, and her heart was pounding again. She suddenly felt that the sentence "tell me what you like and I'll pay for it" was really the most beautiful love sentence in the world. Moreover, it seems to be more provocative than the sentence "I like you." Furthermore, this man is not just ordinary rich and powerful. Hood, appearance, and figure are all considered to be the best of the best. There is no one. The way a man looks when he is working hard and paying for a woman with his credit card is just as charming as when he is working hard. As soon as they entered the store, the clerk greeted them warmly. The two female clerks were startled when they saw Moyesi, and their faces turned red for a moment. At luxury brand stores like theirs, you can see a lot of handsome men and beautiful women. Many celebrities patronize their store. However, when they saw Moyesi just now, both of them felt their hearts beating faster. This man is too good looking. The facial features are not as deep as those from country A. The eyebrows and eyes are particularly deep and three-dimensional, the bridge of the nose is also high and straight, and the lips are very thin and sexy. The man has an excellent figure, with wide shoulders, narrow waist and long legs. Even the simplest shirt and trousers on him can produce a particularly eye-catching effect. Mainly because of his good temperament. Although I don't know who he is, his noble aura is definitely not something that ordinary people can compare to. These clerks are the most observant of people. They could tell at a glance that Moyesi had an extraordinary status, and they treated him with special enthusiasm. Sir, welcome to CA, please go inside, the ground is a bit slippery, please slow down. Hearing the slippery ground, Moyesi paused for a moment. The hand holding Xiao Mian was changed to hug her waist, letting her lean firmly against him. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 372. Chapter 372. Why not buy it? The two clerks were startled again when they saw his behavior. It was only then that they saw someone beside him. When he looked at Xiao Mian, he couldn't help but be a little surprised. The man looks very good, and the woman next to him is also a super beauty that makes people shine. The appearance of the two of them is very similar. Both shop assistants felt that the couple's appearance was even better than that of celebrities in the entertainment industry. Asterisk. Xiao Mian shopped for a while, but couldn't find anything suitable. In fact, she also liked a few models. But when she saw that the price was too expensive, she gave up immediately. A bag here costs at least hundreds of thousands. Even if she had the money, she would not be willing to buy it. Think about the bags she bought before, most of which cost several hundred yuan. She decided to show Zhang Luli a package. She had helped her for so many years, and it was thanks to her that she was able to get the role of the third female lead this time. Qiao Mian wanted to thank her. At that time, if Zhang Luli refused to accept it, she would just lie to her that she didn't spend the money. She lied to her and said that Mo Yesi bought it and that she couldn't use it because he bought too much. Qiao Mian was reluctant to buy such an expensive bag for herself. But she was still willing to buy it for a friend. Especially Zhang Luli has really helped her a lot. She is now a rich woman with hundreds of millions in her hands. It is no problem to buy a more expensive bag for her friend. After looking at the first store for a while, Qiao Mian didn't find anything suitable, so they went to another store. Girls like to compare shopping when going shopping. Even if you see something suitable, you should go to other stores to see if there is anything you like more. Qiao Mian visited 3 stores in a row, but she still hadn't made a choice. When they walked out of the third store, Mo Yesi couldn't help but ask, "Didn't you see anything you like?" Just now, he clearly saw that she seemed to have taken a fancy to a few bags, and she took the bags and asked the clerk about the price. After asking, "I didn't buy it." Qiao Mian pursed her lips. "There are a few bags that are pretty good, and they all suit Luoluo. But I want to take a look at them again." After she finished speaking, she thought of something, raised her head and looked at Mo Yesi, and asked a little embarrassedly, "Don't you want to go shopping anymore?" She and Zhang Luli went shopping from morning to night. She is not tired at all after just walking around for a few hours like this. But for people who don't like shopping, even 10 minutes may be uncomfortable. She almost forgot about Mo Yesi. "Mo Yesi, no, I just don't understand why you don't buy it if you like it." For Mo Yesi, buying something is a very simple thing. If you like something, buy it. If you don't like something, look elsewhere. He couldn't understand the behavior of Qiao Mian who clearly liked it but didn't buy it and went to other stores to browse. "Oh, because you have to compare prices." Qiao Mian explained to him seriously, "Maybe there are other stores that I like more and are more suitable. So I have to look at a few more stores and finally decide whether to buy it or not." After she explained, Mo Yesi still had an incomprehensible expression on his face, and instantly felt that her explanation seemed redundant. How could she forget? A man like Mo Yesi probably never goes shopping at all. If he wants to buy something, he only needs to give instructions to others. He does not need to buy it himself. And since he is so rich, even if he buys something for himself, he probably just buys it when he sees something he likes. Recommend a reader's article, and she is also an author. Sweet Pet article, book title, Cute Wife in the Pregnancy, Mr. 10, Must Be Moderate. Author, Jia Ni. Introduction, she successfully sabotaged the wedding of her fiancé and her mistress by taking him hostage. However, he repaid evil with kindness and kept her by his side and pampered her into a princess. After she slept on his big bed, sofa, and terrace viewing couch like a queen. She was really bored, so she slept with him too. She was very responsible afterwards. "I won't default on my debt." Then get the certificate. Once you have the certificate, you can rely on it even if you want. P.S. Thank you Xiao Jasmine for the tip. Thank you for the farewell, temperature difference, lotus root, loss, 187.79, 130.68 rewards. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 373. Chapter 373 I want to do it all again with you. How is it possible to compare shopping? Only a poor person like her would do this. She felt a little pain in her heart when she thought about it. The rich and the poor are indeed people from two different worlds. Are you tired from shopping and don't want to leave? Chiao Mian just caught a glimpse of a resting place on this floor. She thought about it and said to him, how about you go to the rest area and wait for me? You don't have to accompany me anymore. Let me go shopping. I will buy it as soon as possible and then go to you. When she was just choosing a bag, Mo Yesi stood aside and watched. When the clerk introduced the bag to her, he stood silently and watched. Since I don't understand these things, I can't even add a word. Chiao Mian felt so bored just thinking about that scene. He will definitely feel more bored. In fact, Mo Yesi did feel bored. It's just that since he agreed to Chiao Mian, he still has to accompany her no matter how boring she is. They are dating now. You must not mess up the first date. I'll accompany you. Mo Yesi put his arm around her, looked at a store in front of him, and said with a hooked lips, you like to compare shopping, then let's compare shopping. Don't be in a hurry, you can take your time shopping, I don't feeling bored. We will use whatever way you like to shop. It's still early, and we can visit every store on this floor. Chiao Mian. Mo Yesi, you really don't have to. Baby, have you forgotten what I said before? Mo Yesi lowered his head and cut off her words with a gentle smile on his lips. With you, nothing will be boring. I want to accompany you in everything you like in the future. You do it again. Chiao Mian looked at him blankly. Her little heart, which had just calmed down for a while, began to beat violently at a speed that made her a little panicked. It's over, it's over. She heard a voice in her heart saying to herself, Chiao Mian, you are almost finished. With a husband who is so flirtatious, she is really going to be doomed. Asterisk. When he visited the fourth store, Chiao Mian decided to make a quick decision. Although Mo Yesi didn't say anything, she was too embarrassed to continue shopping. The bags in this store are better looking than those in the previous stores. Chiao Mian liked several models at the same time, so she wanted to take a photo and send it to Zhang Luli, asking her which one she liked best. She had just picked up a bag, and behind her, a man's deep voice sounded in her ears, baby, I'm going to go out and take a call. You pick it slowly. After finishing speaking, he walked outside with his cell phone. Seeing Chiao Mian looking at a bag, a clerk came over and introduced it to her. Miss, you have such a good taste. The bag you like is the best-selling one in our store. This bag comes in 3 colors. If you are interested in buying it, I can bring out the other 2 colors for you to choose from. The clerk just watched Chiao Mian and Mo Yesi walk in together. Of course we know whether she has the purchasing power. Although this female customer looks relatively ordinary in her dress, the male customer next to her looks very wealthy. The attitude of the store clerk is very enthusiastic. Chiao Mian also thinks this bag is pretty good looking. Originally, she thought it only had 1 color. Since there are other colors to choose from, of course she wants to take a look. She nodded to the clerk, okay, please take it out and take a look. Miss, please wait a moment, I'll get it for you right away. Today, Mr. Mo is also full of love talk skills. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 374. Chapter 374 Can this be better? When the clerk went to get the bag, Chiao Mian turned on the camera and took a photo of the bag in his hand. After taking the photo, she clicked on WeChat and was about to send it to Zhang Luli for a look. Before I sent it out, I suddenly heard a sweet voice, oh, that bag is beautiful. I like that bag. The sound of high heels gradually approached her. Chiao Mian smelled a very cloying sweet fragrance coming from behind her, and the sweet voice rang in her ears again, Mr. Gong, I like this bag, why don't you buy it for me? The woman behind her pointed at the bag in Chiao Mian's hand, coquettishly speaking to the man next to her. Mr. Gong? Chiao Mian couldn't help but frown when she heard this title. The surname Gong is not a common surname. There are quite few people named Gong. Since Chiao Mian disliked Gong Zili very much, when she heard the words Mr. Gong, Gong Zili's feminine and hateful face immediately appeared in her mind. As soon as she turned around to see what this Gong young master looked like, she heard a familiar voice from behind, wrap that bag for her. Wow, Mr. Gong, you are so kind. Love you, love you. The woman cheered, her voice getting greasier and hoarse. Chiao Mian was so excited that she got goosebumps all over her body. After hearing young Master Gong's voice, her expression changed and her brows furrowed even tighter. This young master was actually the young master she knew. Chiao Mian really felt that she was very unlucky today, so unlucky that she shouldn't have gone out at all. Meet Jiao Angzhen during the audition in the morning, meet Shen Ro at lunch, go shopping in the evening, and meet Gong Zili again. What kind of bad luck is this for her? Yunchinj is so big, why did she meet people she didn't want to see in the morning, noon, and evening? Can this get any better? Chiao Mian frowned and raised her head, her eyes colliding with Gong Zili's gaze looking towards her. The moment their eyes met, the expressions on both their faces darkened. Gong Zili's face was not very pretty to begin with. When he saw Chiao Mian, he became more and more gloomy. There was no kindness in the look in his eyes. When he looked at Chiao Mian, his eyes were cold and sharp. With complete unkindness. His appearance is inherently feminine, he is the kind of person who seems to be difficult to get close to and has a bad temper. Can be a bit scary. When you have a gloomy face, it makes people even more frightened. Chiao Mian was stared at by him so much that a layer of cold sweat broke out on her back. She felt as if she was being stared at by a poisonous snake spitting out its core. Feeling creepy all over. She somewhat admired the woman next to Gong Zili. Faced with such a terrifying face, he can still act coquettishly and coquettishly. This skill is really not something that ordinary people can have. Actually, purely in terms of appearance, Gong Zili is definitely a handsome guy. His facial features are those of a standard handsome guy, with thick eyebrows and handsome eyes, long and narrow eyes, a high and straight nose bridge, and full lips. By visual inspection, he is about 1.8 meters tall, about the same height as Mo Yesi. His limbs are very slender and his body proportions are also excellent. People divide into groups and things gather together. These friends of Mo Yesi all have impeccable looks and figures. No matter which one you put in the entertainment industry, they are all material that can make them famous. It's a pity that all of them have extraordinary backgrounds. They are all noble sons and ladies from famous families. Their origins determine that they will never marry in the entertainment industry. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 375. Chapter 375, We can't let her seduce the young master away. Chiao Mian is also obsessed with appearance, and she will automatically feel a certain affinity for good-looking people. But when it comes to Gong Zili, no matter how good-looking he is, she doesn't want to get close to him at all. Miss, do you want this bag? The clerk came over and said with a smile, if you haven't decided whether you want it or not, we will wrap this bag and give it to Miss Lin. Before Chiao Mian could say anything, the woman next to Gong Zili looked at her with hostile eyes and said fiercely, why are you asking her? She definitely can't afford it. You guys hurry up and pack this, wrap it up for me, I will go to other stores later. The woman next to Gong Zili is a newcomer in the entertainment industry, named Lin Fei. She finally caught up with Gong Zili, and followed him with the mentality of holding this golden thigh firmly. At this moment, she had not yet held the golden thigh firmly. When she saw Gong Zili staring at Chiao Mian Mian, and seeing how beautiful Chiao Mian Mian was, she immediately felt a sense of crisis. I don't know where this woman came from. Haven't seen it just now. Perhaps he just wants to hook up with young Master Gong, but pretends to be a chance encounter. With such a face like a goblin, he is not here to seduce men, but to do something else. Can't let her lure the young master away. The woman's eyes full of hostility fell on Chiao Mianmian's face. She stared at him for a few seconds, and the more she looked at him, the more jealous she became. She maintains her youthfulness, is full of collagen, and has pink and tender skin. She feels that few people can match her. But when she saw Chiao Mianmian's face, which was so white and delicate that even the pores were invisible, her advantage seemed to be gone all of a sudden. A woman is the most accurate judge of a woman. She could tell that Chiao Mianmian's face was even whiter and more delicate than her face that had been applied with foundation and loose powder. Furthermore, the skin on Chiao Mianmian's face is the same as the skin on her neck and hands. Not only is her face white, but her whole body is white as well. At a glance, her skin seems to be so white that it is glowing. Female stars with good skin in the entertainment industry are very good. But Lin Fei didn't see many who were as good as Chiao Mian Mian. What makes Lin Fei even more angry is that her skin is not as good as Chiao Mian Mian's, and her face is not comparable either. She still had plastic surgery on her face and had her bones shaved off. But she doesn't look as shy as Chiao Mian Mian. Facing a woman who had an advantage over her in every aspect, Lin Fei had a strong sense of crisis and was very afraid that Gong Zili would be seduced by the little goblin opposite her. So, she wanted to leave as soon as possible. Chiao Mian Mian felt baffled after sensing the hostility in Lin Fei's eyes. She didn't think about why Lin Fei was hostile to her. She took the bag in her hand and said to the clerk on the side, "Is there only one bag?" The clerk nodded, "Yes, there is only the last one of each color of this bag left. Because this bag is limited edition, it will not be put on the shelves again after it is sold out." At this time, another clerk took out several other colors. Chiao Mian Mian is holding a black bag in her hand. The clerk brought out a burgundy and dark green bag. Chiao Mian Mian took a fancy to the burgundy one. She glanced at the pair of men and women standing opposite her who looked at each other with unkind eyes, put down the bag in her hand, and smiled at the clerk said, "Okay, I'll give this bag to this lady, and you guys can help me wrap the burgundy one." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 376. Chapter 376. Have we known each other before? At this moment, Chiao Mian Mian just wanted to leave as soon as possible. She knew that Gong Zili was still looking at her. But she just pretended not to see it. "Okay, miss." The clerk couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he heard what she said. Fortunately, this bag comes in other colors. Otherwise, it would be a headache if the two customers got into an argument over a bag. You must not offend a young master. The male customer who was following another customer seemed to have an extraordinary status, and he was also someone who could not be offended easily. The current solution is the most perfect. "Ms. Lin, Mr. Gong, please wait a moment, I'll pack this right away." The clerk picked up the black bag Chiao Mian Mian put down and prepared to go to the cashier to pack and settle the bill. Lin Fei has no objection to this. Her mind is no longer on buying a bag. The strong sense of crisis made her want to leave as soon as possible, because she found that ever since Gong Zili saw the little goblin opposite, he had never looked away. She knows exactly what it means when a man stares at a woman like this. If she doesn't leave, the little goblin opposite will seduce the young master away. Go quickly, Lin Fei urged the clerk. Hurry up, we are in a hurry. Yes, Miss Lin. The clerk didn't dare to be negligent. He took the bag and immediately walked towards the cashier. Another clerk also took the red bag and went to the cashier to pack it. Wait a moment. At this moment, I heard Gong Zili suddenly say, I think that red bag is good. Please pack the red one for me. The clerk was stunned. A red bag. Mr. Gong, that lady wants a bag of this color. Lin Fei was also stunned for a moment, raised her head and looked at the man beside her. Mr. Gong, what I want is a black bag. Gong Zili seemed not to have heard anything, and said with gloomy eyes, red is more suitable for you. Lin Fei, but... As soon as she said two words, she felt the breath of the man next to her cool down. His gloomy and sharp eyes looked at her with a deep look. Why, you don't like red? Lin Fei was frightened by his look and opened her mouth, her voice stuck in her throat. No, I. She was so frightened that she could not speak. Gong Zili glanced at her coldly, raised his head, his gloomy and sharp eyes fell on Jiao Mianmian's face, and said coldly to the clerk, why are you still standing there, didn't you hear what I said? Gong Zili has a distinguished status. He is the only son of the Gong family, which ranks third among the four major families in Yunqing. This shopping mall also has shares in the Gong family. The shop assistants here know him well and would never dare to offend him in the slightest. The clerk looked at him and then looked at Jiao Mian with a troubled expression. Miss, look, why don't you change it to another color? Black and dark green also look good, you. The clerk didn't dare to offend Gong Zili, so of course he could only persuade Jiao Mian to give up the burgundy bag. But this time, Jiao Mian was not going to give in. She finally figured out that Gong Zili did it on purpose. Thinking of all the sarcasm and inexplicable hostility he had made before, a surge of anger instantly rushed to the top of his head. Jiao Mian gritted her teeth and said unbearably, Gong Zili, have we known each other before? Hearing her call Gong Zili by his first name, Lin Fei's expression suddenly changed. Okay, she knew that this little goblin must have come here on purpose to seduce young Master Gong. It is as expected. Thank you 135.91 for the reward. Thank you to me, Kyun, 188.97 for the reward. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 377. Chapter 377 You'd better calm down. Before Gong Zi could leave his mouth, Lin Fei nervously took Gong Zili's arm and looked at Jiao Mian as if she were a love rival, with a face full of guard and vigilance. Who are you? You actually dare to call me Master Gong's name, can you call me Master Gong's name too? After speaking, he gently pulled Gong Zili's arm, and said to him in a coquettish voice, Mr. Gong, I still want to go shopping in a jewelry store. Can we finish shopping and leave here quickly? The moment the woman took his arm, Gong Zili frowned. Mr. Gong. Lin Fei saw that he was standing still and shook his arm again. Her voice became even louder. I suddenly felt that the bag didn't look good. How about we not buy it? I want to go to another store. Shut up. Lin Fei just finished uttering a sigh, and the next second, she was thrown away by the man next to her. She was caught off guard and was thrown several steps away. She was wearing high-heeled shoes that were more than 10 centimeters tall. If the clerk hadn't caught her in time, she would have fallen to the ground. Lin Fei was so frightened that her face turned pale. After she stood firm, she raised a panicked little face, her lips trembling up and down. Young Master Gong. Roll. Gong Zili didn't even look at her, and his voice was as cold as ice. This sudden change made Lin Fei dumbfounded. She slowly stood up with the help of the clerk. Looking at Gongzili's unfamiliar and cold face, she hesitated for a moment, suppressed the fear in her heart, and tried to step forward to persuade him, "Young Master Gong." As soon as he spoke, he met a pair of sinister and terrifying eyes. Gongzili gritted his teeth and said, "I told you to get out, can't you hear me?" At this moment, the man was like a demon. His whole body exudes a frightening and dangerous aura. It seemed as if her neck would be broken in the next second. Lin Feier's eyes widened in horror. For a moment, she had nothing on her mind but just wanted to run for her life. Since she wanted to hug Gongzili's thigh, she naturally asked about Gongzili. The young master of the Gong family is good-looking, rich, and powerful. He is also the only son of the Gong family. He will definitely inherit the Gong family group in the future. However, there are not many women who really dare to catch his attention. Because everyone knows that the young master of the Gong family has a very bad temper and is said to have some rage disorder. Once he gets sick, no one can stop him, and he can beat someone to death. When he was a teenager, he had a rage attack during an argument with someone. Not only did he send the other person to the hospital, but he also beat the other person into a vegetative state. At that time, because he was still young, a minor, and had a disease such as rage disorder, he was compensated with some money. Didn't do anything to him. It is said that until now, his disease has not been cured. Seeing his appearance, Lin Feier felt that he was about to get sick. She didn't dare to say anything, so she turned around and ran out of the store as if she was running for her life. Several shop assistants were also frightened, and they were too frightened to even take a breath. Gongzili didn't even look at Lin Feier, who ran out. He kept staring at Jiao Mian with his sinister eyes and said in a cold voice, "With your identity, do you think you could have known me before?" "Jiao Mian, I am not ACI, it's so easy to be fooled by you. Now that ACI has taken advantage of you, he won't listen to anything we say, but don't think that you have a chance of winning. I will keep an eye on you. You'd better be calm. If you dare to do something bad to ACI, I can't spare you." Jiao Mian. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 378. Chapter 378. Don't you think you are sick? She felt that there might be something wrong with Gongzili's brain. From the first meeting, he suspected that she had ulterior motives. However, when she married Mo Yesi, it was clearly Mo Yesi who asked for Chiao Chen's surgery and forced her to get a marriage certificate from him. She is the one who is forced. But why do these so-called friends think that she set up to seduce Mo Yesi? Just because her family background is not as good as that of the Mo family, and just because their backgrounds are worse than hers, in their eyes, for a woman of her background to marry Mo Yesi, she must have used abnormal and dishonorable means. For a moment, Jiao Mian was so angry that she laughed. She has known for a long time that people are divided into different classes. She also knows that it is difficult for people from the same class to get together. She also knows that it is normal for people from the upper class to look down on people from other classes. However, even though she knew everything, she still couldn't hold back her temper after being so directly looked down upon by Gongzili and treated with sarcasm and contempt again and again. She asked herself that she had never offended him. Does it mean that she deserves to be despised and ridiculed by him just because her background is not as good as theirs? Why? She doesn't owe him anything. Gongzili, since we didn't know each other before, you probably don't know me either, right? Jiao Mian took a deep breath, her eyes filled with anger, she clenched her fists and glared at the man in front of her, and said coldly, After thinking about it, I never thought I had ever offended you. After all, including this meeting, we have only met 3 times. Don't you think you're inexplicable?" "What?" Gongzili's face darkened and his voice was cold. Jiao Mian sneered and said, "Don't you understand? Let me put it another way. Don't you think you are sick? The clerk standing next to him took a breath and looked at Jiao Mian in surprise and admiration. Master Gong's temper is notoriously bad. The kind of violent temper that will get angry and hit someone without saying a word. There are quite a few people who have been beaten by him. Because he comes from a prominent family, he doesn't have to worry about anyone telling him the truth, so even if he causes a lot of trouble, he has nothing to worry about. Others also knew that when they offended the young master of the Gong family, they had no choice but to endure it even after being scolded and beaten by him. So, few people dare to mess with him. There is no one who dares to scold him to his face. This young girl who looks delicate and frail is really talented. That Miss Lin just now was scared away. Looking at Gong Zili's face that was quickly darkening, Chiao Mian, who was still angry, was not afraid. She looked directly into his eyes fearlessly and continued with a sneer, "You hate me, don't you? Why? There must be a reason to hate someone. Could you please tell me where did I offend you to make you hate me so much?" Gong Zili had a violent look in his eyes, and when Chiao Mian said he was sick, he clenched his fists. The anger in his body was a little uncontrollable and wanted to swallow up his reason. This is a precursor to his illness. Just when he was about to lose control of the anger in his body, suddenly, his nose smelled a sweet fragrance that seemed not to be there. In an instant, it was like a cool breeze blowing over on an extremely hot day, blowing away a lot of the anger in his body. He was startled and raised his head in astonishment. Chiao Mian took a step towards him. Because she was angry, her dark and soft eyes were brightly lit by the anger in her eyes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 379. Chapter 379, You don't need a reason to hate someone. The eyes looked as if they were glowing. The girl raised her face, and her facial features were so delicate that they looked like they were carved. Under close gaze, they were so beautiful that it was shocking. Her face had very little makeup, almost no makeup. But she is much more beautiful and natural than many women with exquisite makeup. With a status like Gong Zili's, he has naturally come into contact with many beauties. Hand fat, swallow and thin, I have seen a lot. Not to mention that there is Shenro beside him who he grew up with. But when Chiao Mian suddenly flashed in front of his eyes, he was still stunned for a moment, a little shocked. Chiao Mian's beauty is different from Shenro's. Shenro's beauty is a bit too aggressive and not gentle enough. Although the visual impact is very strong, it gives people a slightly powerful feeling. This is not the case for Chiao Mian. There is nothing too offensive in her body. Her whole body from head to toe to the ends of her hair gives people a very comfortable feeling. At first glance, she has the appearance of a good student in school, which reminds people of her first love. Furthermore, her temperament is also very pure. After all, she has not officially entered society yet, and she still retains many beautiful things in her body. Gong Zili has come into contact with many beauties, but this is the first time for him like Chiao Mian. It's getting closer. He smelled the faint sweet fragrance again. The breath on the girl's body is very clean, pure, and fresh. It smells very good. Tell me. Chiao Mian was also very angry and wanted to ask clearly. She clenched her fists and gritted her teeth and said, "Where did I offend you? We have no grievances. Don't you think you are doing this? Is the behavior very strange? Is it because you think I'm not good enough for Mo Yesi? Or is it because of Shenro? Are you fighting for your friend? Because he and Shenro have a good relationship and are friends who grew up together." He knew that Shenro liked Mo Yesi. Their group of friends may also hope that Shen and Mo Yesi can get together. As a result, Mo married her. Is he complaining about Shenro? Chiao Mian thought about it and felt that this possibility was quite high. Otherwise, she really didn't understand why Bai Bai Zili was hostile to her. Hearing her talk about Shenro, Gong Zili's expression suddenly changed, as if he suddenly came back to his senses, and his eyes, which were still a little confused and doubtful, suddenly became sharp again. He glanced at the woman who was less than half a meter away from him, and suddenly felt a strange feeling in his heart. At that moment just now, he suddenly felt a strange sense of familiarity. It is the feeling of familiarity with Chiao Mian. He couldn't tell what it was, but in just a moment, the feeling disappeared. His eyes became complicated, he stared at Chiao Mian for a while, and then took 2 steps back. You don't need a reason to hate someone. Thinking of the inexplicable familiarity just now, he frowned, and some sporadic incomplete pictures emerged in his mind. It was at his birthday party when he was 10 years old. He and Shenro had a quarrel over a small matter. He was very angry and ran to the backyard to hide, not wanting to see anyone. Later, for some unknown reason, he accidentally fell into the swimming pool. He called for help for a long time, but no one heard him. Just when his body was sinking little by little and he could no longer scream, and he was about to drown, he saw a white shadow swimming towards him. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 380. Chapter 380. Do you want to get beaten again? At that time, he felt that the person swimming towards him was an angel. Then again, he was saved. When he opened his eyes again, he saw a group of people surrounding him, crying and shouting. He also saw Shenro in a white dress standing next to him wet. It was at that moment that he fell in love with Shenro. Shenro saved his life. When he was most helpless, frightened, and desperate, Shenro appeared. Like an angel, she swam towards him little by little and pulled him back from the gate of hell. If Shenro hadn't appeared in time at that time, he might just. It is said that people are most likely to have feelings for people who have saved their lives. He and Shenro are like this. Before this, he had always had a brother-sister relationship with Shenro. He is an only son and has no younger brothers or sisters in his family. After meeting Shenro, he has always treated Shenro as his younger sister. The change in his feelings for Shenro was due to that incident. Later, no matter how many things Shenro did that made him unhappy, or her character became no longer as lovable as when she was a child, he would tolerate her as always. Because Shenro saved him. He will never forget the life-saving grace in his life. His consciousness was blurred when he was immersed in the water. He could vaguely see a pair of very dark and very bright eyes, and when the white figure approached him, he smelled a very light sweet fragrance. Just now, when Chiao Mian came closer, he smelled her breath. He felt familiar. Chiao Mian was speechless at his answer, even a little speechless. She felt that she had encountered a psychopath. And just now, she actually tried to reason with a lunatic. Is her brain broken too? Since he has said so, what else does Chiao Mian have to say? She sneered and nodded, okay, whatever you want. There are so many people who hate me, and you are not the only one who hates me. You can do whatever you like. Gong Zili looked at her seriously, frowning and saying nothing. Gong, young Master Gong. The clerk mustered up the courage and said, Bao, do you want the bag? Miyazawa turned his head and glanced at the clerk before he remembered the bag. He was about to speak when he heard Chiao Mian say in a very strong tone, I want the burgundy bag. Gong Zili, it doesn't matter to me whether you hate me or not, but I won't give this bag to you. Miyazawa is naturally not interested in bags. When I said I wanted a package just now, I just didn't want Chiao Mian to be satisfied. The clerk looked embarrassed. Ms. Gong, you see, it was indeed this lady who decided to buy this bag first. Gong Zili looked at Chiao Mianmian's determined look, narrowed his feminine eyes, curled his lips and sneered, "Oh? What if I don't let you? Then it looks like you want to get another beating." A low, cold voice sounded from behind the two of them. Gong Zili froze and his expression changed. Chiao Mianmian turned around. When she saw the man behind her slowly walking towards her with a cold face, she was stunned for a moment, and then she walked towards him with the corners of her lips raised. "Have you finished answering the phone?" She walked to Mo Yesi and took the initiative to hold his hand. The soft little hands wrapped around him and pressed softly against his palm. She rarely takes such initiative, and she does so in public in front of people outside. For a moment, Mo Yesi was stunned for a few seconds. "Yes, it's what you think," Mian saved Gong Zili, and Shenro pretended to take the credit. "Thank you Shishi, Xiaozhang, 134.70, Laughing Stock, 183.39, 173.09 for the reward." End of this chapter.